Welcome to another edition of Lakeville City Council Wrap-Up. During this program, we will highlight the agenda items presented to the Lakeville City Council at their April 21st, 2014 meeting. First highlighted item on the agenda is item number 5B, Parks and Recreation Department Monthly Report. And to give the background information on this agenda item is Parks and Recreation Director Brett Altergott.
We had a busy month at the Arts Center, at the Lakeville Area Arts Center. Starting things off, we had the Plays the Thing production put on 6 performances of Footloose, and over those 6 performances, we had over 1,500 attend. It was a play with both youth and adults, which is usually the Plays the Thing is a youth production, teen production, but given the topic, it was both adult and youth. Also at the Arts Center, we had Deuce's Wild, the Dueling Pianos, the South Metro Choral Cabaret, Leto and Wright, and the popular youth art exhibit reception. Those in attendance, it was a great event this year. We had the high school artwork in the main lobby, middle school in the lower lobby, and in the multi-purpose room in the basement, we had all of the elementary schools of this community represented. Of special note is that during the month of March, we had over 3,700 people attend events at the Arts Center. So again, it was a very, very busy month. On the park maintenance side, as you can see, we're showing the barrels there. We had over 90 barrels donated from ConAgra, so we clean them out and we paint them before they go into the park system. We also will paint the ones that were chipped up during the season last year. And we also inspected and repaired our herbicide sprayers, our tool cat, our field sprayers, things of that nature. So when it's not snowing, these are the things that we get caught up on. So it was a push to the end this year. Also under park maintenance, what you're looking at there is the Parkview shelter. The floor had sunk at the shelter, so we ripped out the carpet, had about half of the floor removed. We fixed the base underneath and re-poured and leveled off the cement. We're not going to put carpet back in the facility. We're going to put a rubberized surface so it's easier to maintain during the winter with the skating rink. Also in park maintenance, what you're looking at there is one of our guys, we do our own Class B signs in-house. And so that's one of the new ones that we're putting out there. It's a lot of tedious work hand painting in there, but again, it's a way that we save money for the residents. And we also repaired goals, hockey goals and picnic tables over the course of the month. The summer brochure was mailed to residents the week of March 12th. We encourage all residents to look through it as there are many new programs coming this summer. Ones we'd like to highlight, we have a family campout on July 25th this year, and that'll be at Casperson Park. That will lead into the youth fishing contest at Casperson the next morning. Winter spring programs like Learn to Skate are wrapping up, and we'll quickly move into the summer brochure. Last thing I'd like to highlight on the brochure is this year's NRPA theme is Out is In. Go outside, change your outlook, get involved in your community through Parks and Recreation is this year's theme, and we put it on our cover. And so we'll bring a proclamation forward in July. At the Heritage Center, we had 23 new members in March, bringing our total up to 1,050 members for 2013/14. Some of the programs that we wanted to highlight, we have a tap dancing class over there. We had a St. Patrick's Day celebration. We have machine sewing. They're working on making sweatshirts. And we also had scrapbooking. Also, there's some things that happened in April that I think are important as we were planning them in March. We had April 8th, we had the volunteer luncheon. We had over 200 volunteers last year, but we had 120 of them attend the luncheon. It was a great event. A lot of planning went into that. Coming up at the Heritage Center is the Belgian Waffle Breakfast is this Saturday, April 27th from 8 to 12:30. I'm sorry, Sunday, April 27th from 8 a.m. to 12:30. In addition, we'll be running a fundraiser with Paul's Market and Spring Flower fundraiser. People place an order by Friday, April 25th, and return the forms to the Heritage Center. Pickups will then be Thursday, May 8th from 1 to 6 p.m. and Friday, May 9th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., just in time for Mother's Day. Volunteers are needed to compile the orders on Friday, April 25th, and help separate and distribute orders on May 8th and May 9th. Contact the Heritage Center for more info. Just quickly want to highlight a few events. We talked about this weekend coming up being a very busy weekend. On Saturday alone, we have the cleanup with the Watershed Cleanup Day with the Environmental Resources Division. We have the tree pickup. We also have Free Family Fun Fest at Ames Arena in the evening. And then on Sunday, we have the Spring Belgian Waffle fundraiser as well at the Heritage Center. And at the Art Center, the One Book, One Lakeville wraps up. And we also have Coffee Concert number 3, the Bakken Trio. And with that, I will take any questions.
Next highlighted item on the agenda is item number 5C, Police Department Monthly Report. And to give the information regarding this agenda item is Chief of Police Jeff Long.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. This is the March monthly report for the police department. It's gonna be, as soon as I can figure out how to make it go. There we go. As you know, last month I changed the format just a little bit, so the monthly headlines this month are going to be talking about a PIT that was ended, or pursuit intervention technique, which ended a pursuit of a drunk driver right out in front of City Hall. Talk a little bit about neighborhood disputes and resources, and exactly what is peacekeeping, and talk a little bit about the March snow and April. This was a drunk driver that was fleeing and driving down the wrong way of many different roadways, and we were able to safely end the pursuit with something called the pursuit intervention technique, otherwise known as pitting. When you hit the rear of the vehicle with your car, spin it out, and hopefully come to a safe conclusion. And in this particular case, we were able to end the pursuit with only one turn signal damaged on our squad car and no injuries. An example of some of the calls that we handle that people don't hear about, or you may not hear about, but between January 1st to March 31st, one address had 31 calls for service. We spent 19.7 hours of our time there, and it ended with 0 arrests and 0 citations, but peace was kept by eventually assisting a tenant move out and no further service required. We're finding more and more of these calls that are taking, not to that extent, but that is an example of repetitive calls that we get. I won't spend much time on this because we're all sick of snow, but that's what March looked like for us. Only in Minnesota, March 2nd, 20 below. March 29th, it was 60. The snow and cold continued to impact our traffic and working conditions, and had a significant effect on our work, just like it did in public works and other outdoor jobs. Some of the training that we're going through, it's a busy time of the year right now, but we're recertifying people in our TASER device. Our canines are going through certification for narcotics. Special operations team has had their monthly training. We're sending people to death investigation training, SWAT training, Data Master, which is the new breathalyzer for DUIs, BCA management series for one of our officers, recertifying the people that already have the Data Master certification, and then CPR training. So a busy month for us. Here's a list of enforcement prioritization areas. Some of them you have seen before, some of them are new. The bottom 3 primarily relate to speed, and the top 2 have a variety of different violations. This is the bad stuff, the stuff that we don't like to see. In particular, I've highlighted one area, criminal sexual conduct, that has taken a significant jump from 2013 to 2014. I should emphasize that most of this is not strangers. These are typically people that know each other, but still fall under the criminal sexual conduct statute, but it is a concern for us. Property crimes, I've highlighted the area that continues, has been a concern since January, and that's property damage. As you can see, we've jumped from this time last year to this time this year from 19 incidents to 37 incidents. And I will cover that a little bit further in just a second. And this is stuff that you just typically don't see. I did find it interesting that from March 2013 to March 14, we've jumped about 400 CAD incidents, or computer-aided dispatching incidents. Traffic issues, just a summary of what we've done. If you subscribe to my Twitter account, you will have already known this. We have seen a significant increase in traffic enforcement this month from last year at this time, close to doubled it. And coincidentally, we've decreased accidents, and we've taken more drunk drivers off the road in Lakeville. Whether it's a coincidence or not, time will tell, but it typically all falls in line. We know our traffic unit isn't active at the moment. Recap of events for the police department last month: 49 accidents, 17 personal injury accidents, 8 assaults, 1 suicide attempt, and 3 suicide threats. Talking points that you can take out to the community: warm weather equals people are outside. Please encourage people to drive with care in our neighborhoods. This time of year, we generally see a spike in driving complaints, and that is consistent with this year. Encourage people to shut and lock their garage doors. Thefts tend to go up this time of year. Do not bring valuables to parks. People tend to go for walks or play ball or whatever in the park. They throw the computer in the back seat, and we end up with thefts. And this is one of the things I'm talking about. The thefts that we've seen this year have been significant at workout facilities, things such as Lifetime Fitness, Anytime, things such as that. People come from work, again, just leave the valuables in the car. We have to strongly encourage people not to do that. Encourage people to wear their bike helmets. And my pet peeve, lack of a, no pun intended, pick up after your pets. Bring a plastic bag. Talking points continued. During the month of March, we did 18 car seat inspections. 12 were for infant seats. Statistics show that 85% of car seats installed are installed incorrectly. If you would like your car seat inspected, or if people would like their car seat inspected, they can contact Lori Clemmer or Kevin O'Neill at the bottom number. And that is the end of my report, and I will stand for questions.
Next highlighted item on the agenda is item number 7, continued public hearing on consideration of a business subsidy agreement for the Menasha Packaging Tax Increment Financing Project. And to give the background information regarding this agenda item is Economic Development Director Dave Olson.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. As you recall, and at the last meeting, the council held a public hearing and approved the creation of a new tax increment financing district for this project. This is the second and final step in the process, which is the actual approval of a contract for private development, also described as a business subsidy agreement under state statute. I'll just real briefly review the particulars of the project and the contract. There are representatives of Menasha here today, including Bill Giese, the controller of the Lakeville plant here. But real quickly, and for the public's benefit, Menasha is proposing a 123,000 square foot expansion of their existing plant down in Air Lake Industrial Park, and they're located at 8085 220th Street. Have been there for 40 years. They're one of the older or first businesses in the industrial park. Good news is they're experiencing considerable growth and need additional space. They approached the city right around the first of the year and indicated that they are planning this major expansion project, but there are some challenges associated with it. The site, all of the expansion is taking place on their existing property. However, there's a major soil correction required, approximately 8 feet, a relocation of a rail spur, and a number of other site improvements that need to be made to facilitate the expansion. Thus, the request to the city for consideration of tax increment financing assistance. As I indicated, Menasha's been here since 1970. They currently have 221 employees and a payroll of approximately $15.2 million. The expansion that is proposed at their facility has been reviewed, and an estimate of new market value after the expansion has been provided by the Dakota County Assessor's Office. It's estimated to be between 8 to 8.75 million. That is the basis under which we've done an analysis and come up with the tax increment financing plan that the council approved at the last council meeting. The agreement between the city and Menasha calls for the city to provide 95% of the captured new tax increment, and that will be the taxes generated by the expansion. The existing taxes for the existing facilities will continue to go to the same local taxing jurisdictions as they have. But the city will be able to capture, starting in 2016, 95%, or excuse me, all of the tax increment generated by the expansion, and that amount, 95% of that amount is estimated to not exceed $626,000. So that is the identified maximum level. If the taxes for some reason or the value is a little bit less than that, that's assuming the maximum 8.75 new value. If it's something less than that, Menasha will receive 95% of the actual amount of the tax increment received by the city. Economic development districts are allowed to be in place for up to 9 years, and that is what is being proposed with this project. Agreements are the requirements under the company and under the terms of the agreement is that they complete the expansion as proposed, and I believe right now the schedule is still to complete that by the end of 2014. So come January of 2015, the expansion and the full value will be in place. The agreement also requires that a minimum of 15 jobs be created over the next 2 years, and they range from $15 to $20 an hour warehouse jobs to $45,000 to $80,000 management and supervisor jobs, and those jobs also include the full benefits. They are full-time positions with the company. And then under state statute, it's a requirement that once a business receives a business subsidy, that they continue to operate in the community in which they receive the subsidy for at least 5 years. And Menasha's been here 40, so I don't think another 5 years is going to be a problem. But that's a requirement. It's in the agreement, and it's actually dictated by state statute under the Business Subsidies Act. As I indicated, the council considered and reviewed this project at the April 7th meeting and approved the creation of the TIF district. The EDC reviewed this project at their May 25th meeting, recommended approval. I should point out that the Menasha Board of Directors is scheduled to consider this and act on this agreement the week of May 12th when they have their corporate board of directors meeting, next one at which this can be considered. So council's approving it tonight, and then the last approval will come from the Menasha Board of Directors. So with that, would recommend approval of the agreement as proposed and would stand for any questions. And I will say that, and even though we didn't indicate on the agenda, there is a resolution, and we request that the motion tonight would be to consider, approve and adopt the resolution that's included in your packet.
Item number 7 was approved by the Lakeville City Council. Next highlighted item on the agenda is item number 8, public hearing on proposed assessments for the improvement project 14-02, the 2014 street reconstruction project. And to begin a series of presentations, here is Public Works Director Chris Petrie.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. It's always my pleasure to be here with you this evening, presenting our public assessment hearing for our 2014 street reconstruction project. I know those in the audience are watching at home, as well as the council is familiar with this area, but this is our 2014 street reconstruction area. You'll see County Road 46 or 160th Street on the north, Cedar Avenue or County Road 23 to the west, and then Dodd Boulevard running kind of diagonally through the area. The areas to be reconstructed this year are all highlighted in yellow. Just as a way of background, we held the first neighborhood meeting for this project back in August of 2013. That same month, the council did authorize a feasibility report to be prepared. Then in October of 2013, the council accepted the feasibility report and set a public hearing for the project. We did hold the public hearing for the project and ordered the project in November. Bids were opened and assessments were computed on March 7th of this year. We then declared the cost and set an assessment hearing at the council's March 17th meeting. And then lastly, we did hold a neighborhood meeting on April 10th, so just about 11 days ago. We held a neighborhood meeting where we had a little over 100 in attendance at that meeting to talk about the project again. With that, I'll ask our project manager, Ms. Monica Heil from WSB and Associates, to walk through the next slides with you. Ms. Heil?
Thank you, Mr. Petrie, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. A little more background on the project and the improvements that are proposed. There are water main improvements proposed again with the 2014 reconstruction project. One of the areas is Cedar Highlands. There was a water main break history, specifically along Garcia Way, that led the city to some additional testing of the soils, in which we determined that the soils were corrosive. So it is proposed to replace all of the existing iron water main within that portion of the project with plastic water main, which is resistant to the corrosive nature of the soils. There was also a concentrated water main break history along Flagstaff Avenue between Dodd Boulevard and Flagstaff Way. As a part of this street reconstruction project, we will also be replacing that water main to address those issues. And over the winter, there were some recent breaks along Finlay Way. A couple of breaks took place this past winter. The soils were evaluated to determine if there were corrosive soils in the area. They were not. However, we are going to replace that water main as a part of the project due to the recent break history. Elsewhere in the project, along Flagstaff Avenue, we've talked a number of times about some of the resident concerns regarding vehicle speeds and traffic. Part of the project improvements will include bump outs along Flagstaff Avenue. These bump outs will serve to narrow the traveled roadway within portions of the project and will also house permanent locations for the 2 existing driver feedback signs that are located along Flagstaff Way and 2 new driver feedback signs that will, coupled with the bump outs, work to reduce vehicle speeds along that stretch of Flagstaff between 160th Street and Dodd Boulevard. Along 170th Street, there is going to be sidewalk extension work that is going to take place. Right now, there's a sidewalk that exists between Cedar and the easterly intersection of Georgetown Way with 170th Street. There is no sidewalk that connects that neighborhood to Jardine Path, where there are existing concrete sidewalks, and so we'd propose to extend the sidewalk as a part of this project in response to some of the resident feedback we got about the sidewalks in the area. When we talk about the proposed improvements, there are different improvements specified for different areas within the project. Within Niagara Village, which is Flagstaff Court north and south off of Flagstaff Avenue, we are going to reclaim the street surface and complete spot curb and gutter replacement work within that portion of the project. Majority of the concrete curb and gutter in that project area is in good condition. We propose to leave it in place and just replace that curb and gutter that is structurally deficient. Within Cedar Highlands 5th Edition, which includes Garcia Way, 170th Street, and Georgetown Way, water main replacement, of course, is proposed, and along with that would come complete street reconstruction. So all of the pavement surface would be removed, all of the concrete curb and gutter would need to be removed in order to facilitate the water main construction. In addition, the existing storm sewer within that project area is going to be rehabilitated to address some of the settlement and heaving issues that are noticeable out there today. And everywhere else in the project would constitute our complete reconstruction area, which would include removal of the pavement surface, complete concrete curb and gutter replacement, spot sidewalk replacement, and storm sewer improvements. There was a discussion a while back about whether or not all the concrete curb and gutter needed to be replaced as a part of the project. Upon further evaluation due to utility work, changes in grades, and then also replacement of deficient curb and gutter, it was determined that yes, in fact, all of the curb and gutter would need to be replaced. It becomes more cost effective at a certain point, and so it all will be replaced as a part of the project. Sidewalk that is structurally deficient will be replaced as a part of the project, but nowhere besides that section along 170th Street is new concrete sidewalk proposed where none currently exists. As we look at the project costs, the feasibility report estimated that the total project costs would be $10.236 million. After bids were received and the total actual project cost calculated, the total project costs are now finalized at $9.229 million, which is about a 9.8% reduction from the feasibility report estimate. And as we look at how that breaks down, the bid results do result in a reduction of the property taxes or the street improvement funds that are going to fund the project of about 19.3%. Street and storm sewer assessments are also lowered as a result of the favorable bids that were received. They were reduced by about 17%. We did see an increase in the water operating funds that would be contributing towards the project. One of the reasons was the addition of the water main replacement work along Finlay Way due to the recent water main break history, and also just the way the bids were structured from the contractor. And sanitary sewer funds also seeing a reduction of about 42.6% from the feasibility estimate. The city's assessment policy is to assess for street and storm sewer improvements only. Street and storm sewer costs are 40% assessed. That means the benefiting property owners are assessed 40% of those costs, and the city's street improvement funds fund the other 60%. Assessments are calculated on a per unit basis for property zoned for single family use. That is, if you live on a corner lot, you do not pay any more than your neighbor who lives on an interior lot. All single family units pay the same rate. and that is determined by driveway location or house orientation if you're on a corner lot. Comparing the final assessment amounts to what was proposed with the feasibility estimate, for those residents living in the complete street reconstruction areas where all of the pavement surface is going to be removed and replaced, the bid results have assessments now calculated at $3,786.44, which is a 15% reduction from the feasibility estimate. For those townhome units within Sunrise Village, which is a townhome development off of Flagstaff Avenue, the bid results have final assessment amounts at $1,514.58, which is a 32% reduction from the feasibility report. Niagara Village, where spot curb and gutter replacement is proposed, in addition to the pavement rehabilitation, bid results have assessments calculated at $695.88, which is a 35.7% reduction from the feasibility estimate. And within Cedar Highlands, that is that area where the water main work was providing the impetus for the street reconstruction. The bid results came in at $1,134.50 for single-family unit assessments in that area, which is a 41% reduction. And it's important to note that the percent reductions vary, and it's based strictly on the bid results that are put together by the contractor. In addition to the fact that we did see an increase in the water main operating costs, again, which is a result of the bid prices and the way the bid was structured by the contractor. Assessments can be paid without interest by December 31st of 2014, and the assessments are spread over a 20-year period at 3.65% interest. The assessments will be certified to Dakota County for taxes payable in 2015. Senior citizens and residents with disabilities may defer special assessments under certain circumstances. On the city's project website, there is information about special assessment deferment. There are the qualifications for special assessment deferment as well as an application, and we also have staff that are available to answer additional questions regarding that outside of the public hearing tonight if residents so wish. Complete amortization schedules are also available online for each of the different assessment amounts on the project website. The assessment policy does follow Minnesota State Statute Chapter 429 regarding the special assessment process for public improvements, and written intent to appeal must be presented in writing and signed by property owners prior to or at this hearing. And with that, I would turn it back to Mr. Petrie to talk about the proposed project schedule.
Thank you, Ms. Heil. Moving forward, not only tonight do we have the assessment hearing, but we also hope to award the construction contract for this particular project. And then construction would commence yet this month, and we anticipate it being completed by November of 2014. So a couple things for the council this evening. Number one would be to hold the assessment hearing next. Following that, council would be asked to consider a resolution adopting the assessment roll. And then lastly, the council to consider awarding a contract for this 2014 street reconstruction project, City Project 14-02.
Item number 8 was approved by the Lakeville City Council. Next highlighted item on the agenda was item number 9, consideration of the Legacy Preliminary Plat. And to provide the background information on this agenda item is City Planner Darrell Morey.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. I don't have a lot to add to Mr. Mullenbach's presentation. I did want to point out generally where the preliminary plat is located. As you can see from this aerial photo, it's located on the east side of Holyoke Avenue, just east of All Saints Church. And it sits south of 195th Street. Existing Highview Avenue abuts the property to the south. The Crescent Ridge residential neighborhood and the Donley Farm residential neighborhood are adjacent to this proposed preliminary plat. As Mr. Mullenbach stated, it's 145 single-family lots, one of the larger preliminary plats we've had in the last few years. We're pleased to have that coming forward. It's on 76 acres and it's zoned RS3, single-family residential district. We have reviewed the plat in terms of our zoning and subdivision ordinance requirements, and it does meet the requirements of the RS3 district for lot size, area, and the building pads for their setbacks. Just a couple of things I wanted to point out regarding this preliminary plat. It does involve the extension of existing 195th Street. There's a number of single-family homes that have been there for quite some time that sit on the south side of 195th Street. That street will be extended and connect with the internal streets as part of the legacy preliminary plat. It abuts Holyoke Avenue. There's additional right-of-way dedication as part of this plat, and it also includes 11 lots that will back up to Holyoke, which is a major collector in the city's transportation plan and requires a buffer yard screening area, which is also being provided for those lots. Mr. Mullenbach mentioned the park land dedication that will be part of this. That's actually within proposed Outlot B, includes wetlands and ponding, as he indicated, but also land for the park dedication. I do want to point out that there will be a trail connection to the park area from existing Highview Avenue, which terminates to the south side of this property and basically provides access to a number of larger lot single-family parcels to the south. There will be one access point at Holyoke Avenue at 197th Street, and that is across from 197th Street in the Donley Farm residential developments. There will be a full intersection there. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on the preliminary plat at their April 10th meeting. There was public comment from 2 neighboring residents. The Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval, as did the Parks, Recreation, and Natural Resources Committee. In summary, staff is recommending approval of this preliminary plat, subject to 14 stipulations, which are listed in Ms. Jensen's April 3rd planning report. And I can stand for questions.
Item number 9 was approved by the Lakeville City Council. Well, those were the highlighted items presented to the council at their April 21st, 2014 meeting. If you have any questions or comments regarding these agenda items, please feel free to call City Hall. The number is 952-985-4400. Thanks for watching this edition of Lakeville City Council Wrap-Up. The Lakeville Rotary presents the 12th annual Taste of Lakeville at the Lakeville Area Arts Center on Thursday, May 15th from 5 to 9 p.m. Enjoy food samples from area restaurants, as well as wine and beer tasting galore, plus live entertainment and silent auctions. Tickets are $35 in advance or $45 at the door. Proceeds benefit local scholarships and community projects. Check out event details at tasteoflakeville.org.